everybody! So I decided to do another cooking video because I got a lot of good feedback last time that I was fun to watch, which I think is kind of weird and whatever, but thank you! So today I am doing potato soup per my honey's request on this yucky snowy day, which is actually, looking outside the window right now, is melting away super, super fast. Like, it's on the roofs, but the ground it's pretty much done. So, yeah, anyway, so we're doing potato soup today. So last night I prepped the potatoes. It was 4 pretty good size, like, I don't know, like that size potatoes, I would guess. And about 5 cups of chicken broth. Put those in this morning, and that's literally it. I didn't do any seasoning or anything like that last night. It's just potatoes and broth. That's it. So that's been in the crock pot now for about 4 hours on low. So before I add anything else, I'm going to take my friend the potato masher and beat the hell out of these potatoes for a bit. I put mine with skin on still. That's how we like it, and the skin has a lot of really good stuff, all the vitamins and all that good stuff in it. So I like to leave them on. If you're not a skin person or it grosses you out that it would be in the soup, totally peel your potatoes first and before you throw them in, but you don't have to cook them first, obviously. Throw them in raw. So I'm just going to mash them. I don't mash them completely like mashed potatoes because I like my soup a little chunkier than that. But again, personal preference. If you want it smoother than that, you can mash the hell out of it until it's like mashed potatoes. You can take it out in batches and put it through the blender. I've done that with carrot soup before. And other vegetables, so you can do it that way if you want like a really nice smooth soup, like silky smooth. I like it chunky because I put a lot of other stuff in it too, so it's more like a potato stew kind of a thing. I'm gonna add ham and cheese and corn, and it's gonna be friggin' delicious and fattening as all hell, but just have a small bowl and, you know, moderation and whatnot, or don't and go wild and don't care because, hey, you only live once, right? Just don't eat anything else the rest of the day. Plan ahead. What's the whole thing with points and stuff on Weight Watchers? If you plan ahead and eat just salad and fruit and shit all day, then you can eat whatever the hell you want at dinner, pretty much. Okay, so the potatoes are kind of mashed. I've got some skin floating around, whatnot. I'm going to throw the ham in next. Most times I actually put the ham in the very beginning when I first start the potatoes and the broth, but I totally forgot to put it in this time because I prepped it last night, and I don't like to put the ham in with the raw potatoes overnight. That kind of skeeves me out a little bit. And I forgot to put them in because we had a snow day this morning, and I should say a delayed start this morning, and I was kind of hoping for a snow day and thought I was going to get to just make this today, like throughout the day, instead of doing it when I got home. But instead I had to prep it and let my honey start it for me at noon while I was already at work. So what I'm throwing in right now, I just pick up a bag of cubed ham. I know it looks kind of backwards to me. I hope it's not backwards to you. At the supermarket, it's already cut up for me in little tiny pieces because it saves me time because I work. But I have used extra or leftover ham rather from Easter. That makes a really yummy soup. Later on when I talk about the spices and stuff, I'll tell you how I change it because usually Easter ham is kind of sweet. It usually has like a brown sugar glaze, and the stuff I'm going to put in my potato soup right now not all of it will go so great with sweet. But I'll talk more about that later. So, again, preference is kind of my thing with cooking. Like I said in my last one, I don't measure anything. I just put it in and see how it tastes. So I like a lot of ham in it, partly because I need to get a lot of protein in after my surgery, but also because I just like it. It's yummy. So I'm probably not going to throw the whole bag, but probably a pretty good size amount of what's in there, at least half, if not 2/3. But you do you. You want it no ham? You want it just vegetarian style? Leave the ham out. You prefer bacon? Go for it. You get your hands on some pancetta? Hook me up. Send me some. Do you. So, there's ham. I need a spoon. Be right back. I'm going to give that a little stir. And before I add any of my dairy stuff, I'm going to throw my spices in. So, it's the 4 staples in my house that go in pretty much everything I cook and come to my dinner table with me every night or close to it. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. They're just, I put them on pretty much everything from breakfast. I mean, obviously I don't put them on sweet stuff, but like eggs to meat to pasta, whatever. I just kind of put them in everything. So I'm throwing a bunch of those of that. Sorry, tongue-tied today. It's been all day. It's driving me crazy. Good thing I didn't have to talk on the phone too much. I'm putting a good amount of those 4 in because, like I said, they're my staples, and I feel like they're a good base blend for kind of any dish. Now I'm going to throw in a little paprika. Again, like I said before with any of the other things, all of it personal preference. If you don't like any of these spices, don't throw them in. Totally up to you. I'm going to throw a little parsley. This is the one spice that I'm going to talk about that's going to be different if I was doing leftover Easter ham. Ground mustard. I would probably leave out with the sweet ham because I don't know how well I don't think I like the mustard with the sweet stuff, so I don't ever put it in with that. If you think you'll like that combination or you want to give it a try, go for it. This is just plain ham. There's no flavor on it. So I add a little bit of mustard in this one just because I like that flavor and my family seems to like it too. But I don't go crazy because I find a little bit of ground mustard goes a long way. So just a little bit of that. And then there's one thing I forgot to pull out of the fridge that is a surprising ingredient to some people. I know when I've mentioned it before in recipes, or in this recipe rather, to other people they're a little surprised sometimes. Maybe it will surprise you, maybe not. We'll see. I'll be right back. I throw a little Worcestershire sauce. I don't know if I said that the way you say it, but that's the way I learned how to say it when I was a kid, Worcestershire. So that's what I'm saying. So I throw a little Worcestershire sauce in. Again, just a flavor that I like. It adds a little bit of savory. When I taste it in a little bit, if I find that it's too savory, I will actually throw a tiny pinch of sugar in. Don't tell my husband. He'll freak out because he doesn't know that. And I do it in tomato sauce too. If you gotta do what you gotta do to balance it out. You get a little heavy-handed on one thing, you throw something else in to measure it out, you know? So again, Worcestershire, you don't want to go crazy with that either because it's a pretty strong flavor. But you know, a couple little shakes doesn't hurt you. Alright, so that's all of my non-dairy stuff. So, now, I know a lot of crock-pot recipes will tell you to throw in things like cream cheese and sour cream and that kind of stuff at the beginning of... Oh, I'm making potato soup, Kevin. Sorry, I just saw that. Will tell you to throw in cream cheese and sour cream and stuff like that in the beginning when you first start everything in the crock pot. But I have actually seen a lot of information on different places in TV shows, on articles and things from actual chefs that have said that you really shouldn't do that because it can curdle your stuff. That you're better off waiting until everything is cooked and then putting it in at the end. And it blends better that way, is what I've been told. Instead of, like, if you've never done that, if you've thrown cream cheese in the beginning of a recipe in a crock pot, and when you notice if you take the lid off, it kind of floats around in chunks, that's what they're talking about. So when it's already hot, it'll apparently blend a little bit better. I don't know if there's really any truth to that. I've been doing it the last few times. I don't find that much of a difference, but... to each their own, whatever. So the cream cheese I always soften too, just to help with that little... I know it's not actually curdled, but I feel like it looks like it's curdled, and so it's weird. So I soften it first by a pretty good amount. Like, it's kind of gooey at this point. So I'm going to throw a whole block of cream cheese in. Like I said, this is not a Weight Watchers recipe at all. So if you're counting points... this one might not be for you. Or you might need to make modifications to make it for you, which Lord knows I have learned how to do since my surgery. There's lots of recipes that I refuse to give up, so I find ways to make them for me. You know, especially sweet type recipes, desserts and things like that. I use a lot of Splenda, or, you know, I make little substitutions here and there. You do what you gotta do. why give up the things that you love? Just find ways to make them better. So I'm going to mix this around a little bit. The cream cheese is the hardest part to get to melt, so I find I like to do that one first. And just so it has the most time to sit in there and get mixed around as I add each new thing. It kind of looks gross in the beginning. Like I said, it kind of looks curdly. But, you know, it's cream cheese. What are you going to do? So, it's still kind of chunky at this point, but I'll keep working on it. I also have out sour cream, some shredded cheese. I have right now in my house Fiesta Blend. It's the cheese that we use the most because I find it to be super versatile. But throw in whatever you want. You like cheddar? Throw in cheddar. You like Monterey Jack? Throw that in. You want a little spice? Throw in some pepper jack. Like I said, you do whatever you want. They're all like just base recipes, and you can kind of you know, tweak them to what you and your family like or your dietary needs. You know, whatever. That's one of the things I really like about being in the kitchen and cooking is discovering new ways to make things that, you know, I will start with a recipe that I've never made before, but then I will make it once, and then I'll, you know, ask my family what they think and whatnot, and then I'll sit there and go, okay, well, I think this flavor might work, or, you know, what if I swatched out, you know, chicken for beef, or, you know, this vegetable for that vegetable, or whatever. Don't be afraid to try stuff that your family likes. The worst thing that can happen is you try it the next time and they go, yeah, that wasn't my favorite. Okay, so you don't ever make it again that way. You go back to the original way. Or you try something different. Like, I think that there are people that are intimidated by the kitchen because they don't have recipes in front of them to follow, but you know what your taste buds tell you. You know what you've eaten at restaurants or at other people's homes and what you like, so just try stuff. That's how I learned to do a lot of the things that I've made, and some of them didn't even start out as recipes. They were just things that I was like, I think this might go well together. Let's try. And I'm blessed with a husband that will pretty much eat anything. I think I could give him literal SOS, and if I put cheese and some spices on it, he'd be like, yeah, that's cool, I'll take it. Because he just likes to eat and loves my cooking. So I'm quite blessed in that regard. I'm hopeful that my children will catch up to him one day and actually enjoy eating what I make as well. But if they don't, oh well. Their loss, right? Not mine. I still get to eat it. Alright. So finally the freaking cream cheese has decided to play along. I don't know where my spoon went. So next I'm doing sour cream. I use the Daisy Pure and Natural, whatever, use what you like, use the light if you like, it won't make any difference other than calories, the taste will be exactly the same, it'll blend exactly the same, so whatever you like. If you prefer and want to do less calories, you could absolutely do Greek yogurt, just obviously not a flavor, I would do just plain, but you could totally substitute for some Greek yogurt. I like putting the sour cream in because I feel like it makes it a little bit thicker and a little bit just creamier all overall. So just a couple spoonfuls, it doesn't take a lot. Mix that around as well. We're going to cook this for a while longer, so it doesn't have to be like super incorporated because it's going to cruise for another like hour or two at least. So this is when you're going to want to start early in the day. We started this one at noon on low, and it cooked until 4. And that's when pretty much when I opened the lid and started doing what I'm doing now. So, and like I said, it'll take another hour or two beyond this. So you'll need a good chunk of your day. Next, I think I'm going to do the cheese just because it'll melt better before I put the half and half in. The half and half will cool everything down. So, as you remember from my last video, oh maybe not because I didn't put cheese in that, never mind. I love cheese. I put a lot of cheese in everything, so I go a little crazy with the cheese. If cheese bothers your belly, this is not the recipe for you. Just saying. You could make it without the cheese, but oh, it's missing so much. It's not the same. So that was my 2 good handfuls of cheese. We refer to Julian often as the mouse, so he does not complain about the cheese either. Gavin doesn't love cheese, but when it's mixed in stuff like this, or like melted on top of like pizza or whatever, he's cool. He's just not a big like cheese on a sandwich kind of a kid. I know, weird, right? My kid. I don't know how. Okay, so that's all mixed in. Now, the last things you want to add are the coldest things, because you want to give, obviously, the cheese and the other things a chance to melt and incorporate in. And if you add the half and half, and I'm going to go get some frozen corn here in a second, if you throw that stuff in first, it's going to bring your temp right down, and then that other stuff is not going to melt well. So you always want to add the coldest stuff last to the crock pot. So I just kind of eyeball, and then if I need to throw a little more in, I do. If I went a little heavy-handed on the half and half later on when I check it in the hour mark, when I'm thinking that we're going to be able to serve, if it's too thin, I'll do a little slurry of some cornstarch just to thicken it back up again. I made the mistake once because I ran out of cornstarch of thinking, oh, I'll just throw a little flour in and it'll be fine. Yeah, no, don't do that. Blech. It was so gross. It tasted like somebody put raw hunks of bread in our soup. It was disgusting. So don't do that. That was one of those fails where, you tried, not a good outcome. Alright, so I'm going to throw the half and half back in the fridge before it goes gross and grab the corn. Be right back. Okay. I like the corn a lot. Family doesn't love corn, so I don't put that much. I have about, I don't know, a quarter, I would say, of a 2-pound bag. I'm not doing math right now, so you figure that out. So I'm going to throw that in. That's my last step because that's frozen. That's, again, going to bring the temp, like, down. Give that a stir. I will give it a taste at this point. I know the corn is going to be frozen. If that grosses you out to have frozen corn in your mouth, then don't taste it, or do it before you add the corn, or don't get any corn on your spoon, or whatever. It doesn't bother me. It's frozen corn, and whatever. I don't want to use that spoon because it's covered in sour cream, and that will taint the taste. Alright. That's going to be delicious in like an hour. Maybe an hour and a half. So that's it for now. I'm going to let this cruise, like I said, hour and a half. It's now on keep warm. Like I said, it went off at 4 o'clock, and that's when I started adding all this stuff. Oh, that's another little tip I learned on the cooking shows. When you do a crock pot recipe, don't open the lid. That's like the kiss of death, apparently, like the worst thing you could do. And I used to open the lid all the time and go over and smell and taste and all this stuff. Don't do that. Like, the whole purpose of the crock pot is not to do that, and that's how it does its magic. And I didn't know that because I was not educated, and now I am, and now you are too. So wait until it's done and then open. So when I opened it at 4 o'clock, it automatically, my crock pot switches over to keep warm, which it will do until a certain temperature and a certain time, and then it'll kick off automatically. But I gotta say that my keep warm setting on this crock pot is still fucking volcanic. So I don't mind leaving it on keep warm. I don't feel the need to put it back on to low for this last hour. If your crock pot does not have a keep warm setting, or if it's not as efficient as mine or whatever, then you may want to kick yours back over to low. But like I said, I'm going to leave mine on keep warm for now. For, like I said, about an hour and a half. I'll check it. If I don't feel like the flavors are melded well enough, or Jason's not home yet, or whatever it is, then I'll throw it back in. If I find that it's getting too bubbly or too, like, crispy around the top edge because of the volcanic keep warm setting, I'll turn it off completely, and as long as I leave the lid on and don't open it, then it'll stay hot for like 2 hours after I turn it off. I don't know how they make this thing get that hot, but holy hell. You could like melt somebody's body in there, I swear. You could melt down bones or some shit. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know that I'll video again later, but I'll try and post a picture of the deliciousness and let you know how it turned out. I hope that you enjoyed watching, and if you try and make the potato soup and it turns out great or it turns out awful, let me know. All right, love you guys. Bye.